Alright, this is 7.1, and there's not a notes page for it, but there is some information that there's homework for it, so I want to make sure that you understand what's going on. So this is for 7.1. And it talks about the normal curve. If you are drawing a normal curve, it cannot look like this. This is a no. This is what you want it to look like. Okay. You don't want it to do this. You don't want it to have two modes. It might look something like this, like a histogram, and this is not normal, whereas one that looks kind of like this is what we call roughly normal. Some other information. You might see a problem that looks like this. Where it's two normal curves. And then down at the bottom you might see this and this. And this they would call A, and this they call B. And they say, which has the larger mean? Well, these are the means. What's in the middle of it? So this A has a mean of 5, B has a mean of 10, and we say that the larger the mean, the graph shifts to the right. As the mean gets larger, the graph shifts to the right. Here's a normal curve, and let's say that we have this down here, and then it goes 12, 14, 16, and 8, 6, 4. And they might ask you a question that said, what's the mean of this graph? Well, the mean is what's in the middle, so that's 10. So here the mean would be 10. What's the standard deviation? Well, how much does it go up each time? It goes up 2 each time. It goes down 2 each time. So here the standard deviation is 2. You might be given the mean of, let's say, 5, and the standard deviation of 1, or even 2. Let's say 2. Standard deviation of 2. So we want to draw our curve and in the middle of it is where our mean is, and then we go to the right and add the standard deviation. So 5 plus 2 is 7. Add another standard deviation. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then add another one. 9 plus 2 is 11. And then you go back and do the other direction. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So this would be our mean, and then our standard deviations. This would be the normal curve that is shown. Okay. If it said something, shade the region, and a lot of times you'll see these lines that come up here, because these are our standard deviations. And we talked about them earlier, where this amount right here that I'm showing from 3 to 7, that's one standard deviation away from the mean. 1 below, 1 above. So from 1 to 9, that's 2 standard deviations. 2 below or 2 above. And then one more would be the third standard deviation. And we talked about that beyond 2, So there to there would be not usual or unusual. All right, what if I wanted to, if I said shade the region that's less than 3? Well, that would be, here's my 3, and this would be the region less than 3. What if I shaded the region less than 5? Then I have to add this one to it. And what we say is that 50% of the data lies below the mean and 50% lies above the mean, not of the data, of the area. Under here is the area, and that would be 50%, and above it would be 50%. All right, let me go to a different example. Let's say that the monthly charges for a cell phone has a mean of 34 with a standard deviation of 14. So here's my 34, standard deviation of 14, that means I go up 14, so 34 plus 14 is 48, and then I add 14, and that goes to 62. One more time, which is 76. So that's 3 standard deviations above. Now let's go doing below. So 34 minus 14 is 20. 20 minus 14 is 6. And 6 minus 14 is negative 8. Okay. Shade the region that is less than $20. So less than $20 would be here. And you shade that region, which would be down here. And we talk about this by area. And we say if the area under the curve, here's the curve, if the area under the curve is 0.1587, we can say that 15.87% of cell phones, and this is just the problem that I read to you earlier, of cell phone plans cost less than $20. Less than $20. That's what we see here. Now, another thought that you need to have is if this is 0.1587 and this is the rest of it, we would say 1 minus 0.1587 and so the rest of this is 0.18413, and so this says that 84.13% of cell phone plans cost more than $20. Okay, and then it talks about symmetric distribution. So we know that this is symmetric right here. And these are questions that they're going to ask you in 7.1. This is a normal curve, and here's our mean. It's always in the middle. Well, our median is also in the middle because 50% of it has to lie below and 50% lies above. And so the median and the mean are the same thing. And since we only have one peak, our mode is right here. And so when you have a normal curve, we can say that our mean equals our median, which equals the mode. They're all the same thing. And that's not talked about that much, but there's a few questions in there that talk about that. If you have any questions about 7.1, just ask in class. And I'm going to end this video and start 7.2.